Hi guys, this is Milo from the Fishworks, and today we're going to be going through the complete setup of an OASE Filtosmart external filtration unit. Here in front of me today I have the Filtosmart 100, which is rated for tanks up to 100 litres. We're going to be setting it up on this tank behind me, which is a 75 litre tank. But the Filtosmart range, there's a few filters in this range. There's 4 of them. We get the 60, 100, 200 and 300. And they can go on tanks anywhere from 60 to 300 litres. These filters are designed with energy efficiency in mind, which is really good. They'll save you some money that way. Another feature people really like is that they're designed to be relatively silent, so you don't get that constant buzzing sound that you do with a lot of canister filters. I'd recommend these to anyone with a tank 60 to 300 litres that's stocked to a medium extent. One thing that really sets the Filtosmart units apart from other brands is that, like I mentioned, it is an external unit, so it sits outside of the tank, somewhere underneath in a cabinet or just next to it. And it has housing for your heater inside the unit itself, so you don't have any filtration unit or heating unit sitting inside your tank. So it keeps everything looking really sleek and nice and clean, as everything is sitting outside away from the water itself. And because of that, it really lends itself to aquascaping, in particular, like the tanks I have behind me here, because it keeps everything sleek, minimal and hidden away. So all that being said, let's just go ahead and jump into the setup. So you notice in front of me I have 3 boxes. The first one is obviously our Filtosmart unit itself, the actual filter, and then we have the OASE Heat Up 100, which is the compatible heater. And in order to get these two to mesh well together and actually fit, we have the Filtosmart 100 thermofit kit. So if we go ahead and open up the unit, we'll go through each of the individual components that it comes with. First up, we've got our ceramic filtration. Comes with a decent amount of hose to get you where you need to be, and then obviously various fittings, and of course the filter itself. The last things you'll find in the box after opening it up are some small feet to stop the filter from sliding around in your cabinet, more parts in order to set up your inlet and outlet, as well as your instruction manual and your little booklet for the warranty. This filter comes with a 3-year extended warranty. The first thing we will be doing is installing our rubber feet on the base of the unit. It's best to do this obviously before any water actually goes into it. Those feet come in a small packet. They look just like this, and they just attach down here. And all these really do is just help you create that traction on the bottom of the filter to stop it sliding around. It also helps prevent any scuffing of your nice new cabinet. The next thing we're going to do is move all of the rest of our equipment aside and put together our heating component. In order to do this, we just have to remove the lid, and in any of the larger units there's going to be a separating plate which you'll have to take out in order to complete this step, but the smaller unit, the 100, does not have that plate. Then you will grab your thermofit kit, open that one up, and then all we do is connect this onto here and slide that down into your filter. There'll be 2 feet which will lock it in place. Again, on the larger models, this part will be slightly different. It will fit over the top and hang onto the side of your separating plate, which will be in here. On the 100, it's going to fit in like this and attach to the actual wall of the unit in there. Once you've done that, you'll grab your heater and this blue component, and you'll just push the heater down through there. So once we have this component retrofitted into the filter and this one retrofitted onto your heater, you're ready to put this aside and move on to your next step. Our next step is positioning our filtration media. So to do that, we just have to check that we have, in the 100, we'll have 1, 2 blue sponges. It's going to differ depending on which model you get. And then we have this empty component here which we have to fill. And we'll be filling this with our ceramic filtration media. This stuff you have to rinse quickly in warm water before installing it, which I've already done. So now I'm just going to pour it around, being careful not to get any inside of where our heater will be slotting down. Once those have gone in, your third compartment should look like this. Now that everything that has to happen internally is all set up, we can go ahead and reinstall our lid. You want to line up the lid so that our inlet and outlet are sitting where the sponge is, and then this little blue lid is where our heating unit is going to be sitting. And then you'll see that we have got this little blue section here, and all you have to do to open that up is just give it a twist, pull it off, and then we can install our heater down into that slot. And it's the exact same situation with this one. You just got to push it down as far as it'll go. There's an O-ring in there to help you create your nice tight seal, so check that that's all in line, and then just give it a twist, and then that's stuck in place now, and no water's going to escape from this section of the filter. Now that our base unit is fully complete, I'm going to set it aside inside the cabinet where it's going to live while we set up our inlet and outlet lines. To do that, you'll grab your 2 rods here, as well as this bag. Inside this bag, we have all of the components you'll need to create your suction and your air. So we're going to start by separating the components we need for our inlet. For our inlet, we've got 5 components. We've got this little blue one, which is going to screw on like this, connecting to our main pipe. And then we'll connect these 2 on like that. So all of your water will be being sucked in here, going up, and then into your filter, and then around the filter back into our outlet, which we'll put together now. For your outlet, you've got 2 choices as far as how you want your water to be returned to the tank. You can either do it via a spray bar, so the water will come out through each of these little holes sitting along the top of the tank, or you can just have it coming out of this little nozzle here, so it's quite a concentrated flow. For this tank, we want to keep things looking quite minimal, so I'm just going to go with this attachment. And in terms of setup of the outlet, it's very, very similar. We just connect our blue screw on here, this little elbow onto the side, and if we wanted to do the spray bar, it would go on like that. And if we want to do our nozzle, it'll just slide in like that. At this stage, I like to compare my inlet pipe to the tank itself, because this is a very long pipe we've got here. Often you're going to have to cut it down in order to get it the length you want. So I'm just going to go in to our tank here. If it sits like this, I want this to be around here. So I'm going to go ahead and chop off about 20 centimeters of this pipe right now. This stuff is pretty easy to cut just with a hacksaw or a really good pair of scissors. So now our inlet is significantly shorter, and it's going to fit inside of our tank seamlessly and look a lot better. You'll also be provided with a bunch of suction cups and feet to connect them to. All you got to do is just slide them into place. For the inlet, I like to have one down the bottom, one up the top. For the outlet, just one will do it. However, if you are using the spray bar, you're going to have to use at least 2 down the length of that. Now we can chuck all of this aside, which we're not going to use, except for these 2 extra blue pieces you'll have left over. They're quite important. You're going to want to hold on to those. We go ahead and bring our filter back up. I'm just going to screw these 2 onto here for safekeeping. These are what's going to hold our hose in place when we attach that in our next step. Now that we've got our filter, our inlet and our outlet all put together, we can go ahead and install it into the tank itself. Initially we had an OASE Biomaster 350 sitting in this tank just for display purposes, but it really is overkill for the size of tank that we've got and how we're going to be stocking it, which will be minimally, if anything. So we're going to take this one out and throw in our Filtosmart 100 instead. In order to attach our hose to the filtration unit, we'll just shove it down onto the out pipe. Make sure your out hose is going into the one that's marked out. Obviously your in hose is going into the one marked in. And then we'll just twist these little blue screws up so that they hold that hose nicely in place. And then it's not going anywhere. So you do that with both your inlet and your outlet down on the filter, and then up again up the top where your actual in and out is. Up here we can control the flow rate of our inlet and outlet. When we start up, I like to turn them both all the way onto max, just so that we can see how much we want to go and we can minimize it from there. When you first set up your Filtosmart, it's a good idea to note exactly how far the head height on your individual unit is. The 100 can handle a head height of 180 centimeters, so having it down in the cabinet down here is no problem at all. The Filtosmart 60, however, can only be 80 centimeters, so it's going to have to be sitting somewhere next to the tank itself. Even though our Filtosmart 100 has a head height of 180 centimeters, during initial setup it can only be 80 centimeters below the tank itself. And then once it's already up and running, we can move it down even lower. So starting it from here is okay, but if it was any further, I'd want to move it up a little bit higher for startup and then move it down after it's all set up and ready to go. In order to get everything up and running, we just have to fill up the canister first. So to do that, we'll take out our heating unit and just fill it up from that hole there. Once that's full, you can reinstall the heater and just make sure you twist it nice and tight to get that seal. You can set the temperature up the top here and then go ahead and plug it in. The last thing you're going to have to do is turn this part, they call it the bayonet closure, all the way to the left in order to allow water to flow between the tank and the filter. If you ever want to dismantle the filter or do any sort of maintenance, you can turn it the other direction to isolate the unit. After that, your Filtosmart filter is completely up and running and ready to go. We've had it set up on this tank for a little while now and it's been doing a really great job. These units are by far our best selling aquarium filters and we use them on quite a few of our tanks in store and have heard plenty of good reviews from customers as well. For more in-depth info on all of the diagrams, I have linked the full instruction manual in the video description, as well as a link if you wanted to get one for yourself. As always, if you need any advice on what filter's right for you and your pond or your tank, we're always happy to help. Never hesitate to reach out. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.